on this computer. No, it doesn't look bad. Okay, so
I don't know what to
we
do.
are recording.
Okay.
And so shall we start? Great. So welcome to OutRight TV, our new video and podcast series, bringing stories of LGBTIQ people and allies across the world, sharing our stories about how we're coping with COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Grace Poor, the Regional Program Coordinator for Asia at OutRight. And today, for today's episode, I'm talking to Dipti Ghosh from San Francisco, California. So Dipti, welcome to OutRight TV.
Thank you, Grace.
You were on
You
mute, I
froze.
think.
I can't hear you. No, I'm not on mute.
Yeah,
You froze. You
I
froze.
froze. We seem to be
It
freezing
was,
off and on.
yeah, it was, I'm not on mute.
Yeah.
So it froze on your side, so I couldn't hear what you said after that.
Okay, so let me try again. Welcome to OutRight TV. So we've been friends. I was actually thinking about this before we started this, and we've been friends for about 35 years. And I remember meeting you. It was a pretty chilly day on the streets of Washington, D.C. in 1987 for the March on Washington for LGBT rights. And since then, we've been involved in many things. The Asian Pacific Lesbian Network, which then became the Asia Pacific Lesbian, Bisexual, and Trans Network. We were involved in a network of South Asian lesbians and bisexual women, Shamakami. And across the years, right, we've been friends, we've been close, we've been involved in many iterations of activism, from working to end domestic violence. You were the chair of the board of OutRight Action International during the 9/11, I believe. And then, of course, now you are supporting Asia and Pacific Islander film and documentary production. What else do I know about you? I know that you love giving house parties for fundraisers. I know that you like to cook, that you're a good cook, that you're very, very extroverted, and that you like biking and that you go biking cross country. Now, that's what I think of you. When I think of you, this is what I think of. So how would you describe yourself?
Wow. I think you just described me maybe a little bit better than I would describe myself. So I would at least put in a few flaws, you know. I'm always late, which, you know, with you is always an issue since you are always punctual. But you know, I have an uncanny memory of things, and I just want to say it's been exactly, it'll be 33 years this year that we've known each other, because it was 1987 March on Washington. It was the first queer march I'd ever gone to of that size. Before that, I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the queer march that we had there was on the sidewalk. It was so small, we could walk on the sidewalk, and we didn't have to get street permits or anything. So that was like an amazing situation for me. It was also the first time I met more than one South Asian lesbian in a group. So it was, you know, it was the impetus for me to want to leave Ann Arbor and go to some other place where there were more people of color, queer people of color. So, you know, that's why I always will remember 1987 March on Washington, because I met Grace Poor there.
Yeah. So, I guess my first question is going back in history a little bit. You must recall the Sars epidemic that rampaged across Asia. Many lives were lost, many businesses were lost. And then there was the H1N1 avian flu that was also an epidemic. And then in the US, there was the anthrax contamination, where we were asked to wash our hands. We were told not to have our mail on our dining table, to make sure we were washing hands after handling mail. And, you know, there were all those restrictions. Don't wear your shoes into the house, all of those kinds of things. So how is it different now for you with COVID-19? Like, how has your life changed? What does your home look like now with all of the restrictions for COVID-19?
Wow. Yeah. So all those different epidemics that happened in around the world, you know, we read about it mostly. We didn't experience it personally. Especially like SARS, we knew what was going on because, you know, I've lived in many parts of the U.S. Well, not many parts, but I've lived in Michigan and I've lived in San Francisco. And but you know, I'm from India, so for me, there's always a connection of what's happening there. And so I think for the SARS, we were always concerned. You know, my partner Maggie has a lot of family back there. I remember, I think her mom sent us some was it Tamiflu, or there was some particular antibiotic or something that people were using that she sent packets to Maggie to make sure she would have some with her because there was a shortage. Um, with the anthrax scare, it hit a little bit close to home because it was in the US, but it still didn't affect me personally. I don't think I didn't look at my packages, and I don't think I didn't wash. I want to wash my hands regularly, just naturally, but I don't think I did that. You know, made any special cautions about thinking there was going to be some anthrax in my packages. The H1N1 was also, you know, it was in Mexico. So I don't know, it was everywhere, but it was, you know, there was a pretty high concentration in Mexico. And we had a trip planned to Mexico at that time. And we didn't cancel our trip. And we had friends staying in our house, and they actually contracted H1N1 when they were in our house. But by the time we came back from vacation, they were fine. So that was my only connection to it. And so I think the difference between all of those and this particular situation is it's changed everybody's life.
Right.
It's, you know, whether, you know, it's like, it has no, we have no of how this thing is spreading. You know, people are saying, oh, it's killing old people. Well, in San Francisco, 60% of the people are under 50, and they're like between 18 and 50. So we don't know. We don't know enough. And I think the only thing they know is to keep our distance. So guess what? No house parties. Nothing is happening in my house besides me cooking, doing a lot of video happy hours with friends, trying to stay connected, feeling with family too, because neither Maggie or I have family in San Francisco. Our family here are our friends. And so it's been like every Wednesday and Saturday, we do a happy hour, this group of friends we have, all a bunch of, you know, South Asian queer girls. And it's been fun. You know, it doesn't compare to seeing each other, but it's been fun. And you know, then I try to talk to my family as a group at least once or twice a week, and then we talk individually to each other. But so it's really been about trying to stay, I don't know, not motivated, but trying to stay connected and engaged, and not spending 100% of my time thinking about COVID-19, because it can happen really easily. You know, you open your phone, it's there. You look on television, it's there. You talk to somebody, it's there. So I really am trying to do things that are not so COVID related, but trying to continue to be safe myself and keep us safe at home. So we spend a lot of time at home, though I do go out for a 2 to 3 hour bike ride a day. And that gives me my serotonin boost to allow me not to get like into a deep depression, because I think there's a sort of underlying depression going on, at least for me, just to know that life has changed so drastically for someone who is, as you say, an extrovert. I love to chat with people. I love going out for my morning cup of coffee. And, you know, in my cafe, I know all my baristas by first name and they know me because I've been going to the same cafe for 13 years. And I have the same drink every day. So to me, my cafe is my bar. And I miss not having a place to go and just not only meet people I know, but meet people I don't know and hear interesting stories. I've heard some really interesting stories. And, you know, it's like, it's entertainment for me. But so I've lost all my entertainment, you know. The other thing is I really like music. And I've been going to a lot of shows. I have 6 shows that have either been postponed or canceled in the next few months. So, you know, I'm home. So I'm listening to a lot of live music on Instagram. Instagram has this IGTV,
Right.
and a lot of artists are like posting live music on it. So I've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know. Cooking.
Mm.
I'm cooking a lot.
Yes.
And I don't know if one thing we've realized is we may not be wearing as many clothes as we used to when we have to go outside.
Yeah.
Because a lot of t-shirt. Maggie actually bought her first pair of sweats this week. So she wears sweatpants underneath and then dresses up on top.
Yeah.
I actually have on jeans today. So I'm actually trying to dress up for you. But the thing we've been using the most that we've never used as much is our dishwasher. So it means we're eating like 3 to 4 meals a day at home. And dishes are getting dirty. so that's
you're
like
using your dishwasher more often because you're cooking.
I've never used it once a day in my whole life, I don't think.
Okay.
You know, because our actual lifestyle is, you know, when I was in business, I entertained a lot. So I was out for dinner a lot. Maggie also ate lunch out. She ate lunch and breakfast at work because she works for one of the big tech companies that feed them. And so I was like, you know, we have to eat all our meals at home.
Yeah.
You know, I said that the tech company should pay us rent because, you know, she's lost her food subsidies and they're using my house as an office.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think that's happening.
Let me ask you this. You talk about Maggie. Maggie's your partner. And I remember you saying that because of the COVID-19 situation, that she's worried about you. And particularly when you go out. So how does she manifest that worry? What does she do? What does she say to you about?
She pleads with me. She pleads with me. She enlists the help of my friends to plead with me. So I'll give you an example. This is at the time when we were still sort of figuring out whether we can do things or not, right? So this wasn't when the hard and fast COVID-19 stay in shelter in place had come out.
Right.
And I had tickets to a concert. And I would have been the oldest person at that concert because a lot of these artists I follow are pretty young. And I had invited like 10 friends of mine to come to introduce them to this artist. And I really wanted to go to the show. And she had friends. She asked me not to go. And I said, no, I said, I'll just keep my distance from everybody. And she's like, you're in a venue with 300 people. It was a small venue. I said, it's not going to be a big venue. And she called 2 of my friends and she says, she's not listening to me. Can you please ask her not to go to the concert? Okay. The truth is I had already decided not to go at that point, but she doesn't stop. She's persistent to make sure that I get the message. And sometimes it takes me to hear it from many different voices. So
are you in a vulnerable group, Dipti?
Yes, I am.
Can you say what your vulnerabilities are?
So the vulnerability is I'm 65, but and then I have some, you know, just some low-lying underlying health issues. So just very mild ones. But you know, I don't think this thing discriminates whether my issues are mild or not mild. If I'm going to get it, you know, it's probably not going to be nice for me, and they're going to put me in danger. So I don't want to get it. So I did listen, and not go to the concert. But I also had decided not to go before all these friends started, calling me to beg me not to go to the concert. So, but
So
this
it
is the week
sounds,
before shelter in place.
I see, I see.
Okay, so when shelter in place started, I
Mm,
haven't done anything that I'm not supposed to do. And I was so glad to hear that I could go out for a walk and I could go on a bicycle ride. And I actually find social distancing activity outdoors, biking is the best one. So I don't ride with any of my friends. She asked me not to go for rides with friends. So I don't ride with friends. So because most of my bike friends are all doctors, and the two of them are ER doctors, and one of them is a pulmonologist. So she's like, asked me, these are people who are in the front lines now. I worry about these guys. So, but she asked me not to go for rides with anybody. So I ride on my own and I go for 2 to 3 hours, I live in a beautiful city. And I just have to tell you, I see amazing views every day. It's me and the coyotes out there because the cars are off the streets. It's me
right.
and the coyotes. And it's just it's quite a paradise for bicyclists right now. And so I'm enjoying myself there, and it puts me in a very happy place. I think, though, we have so many different worries around this, and they come up at night for me. They come up early in the morning, and they're about our families and our friends who are all over the place. I give you an example. Maggie's father is 94 years old. He'll be 94 this year. And it's just dawned on her that, Philippine has the borders closed off to non-Philippine citizens.
Right.
And she's a US citizen now, and she may not be able to go home. And that's a really, really tragic thing because people are not being able to say goodbye. So that's her big thing. She's like, if something happens to you, I don't want to not be able to say goodbye to you, so please don't get sick. So that's where she's coming from. So I know it's coming from a place of love and care, so I appreciate it. I have somebody who loves and cares about me enough to say, don't do this, it's stupid. But
what are your fears for her?
Okay. So, Maggie has something called non-allergic rhinitis or something. It's like I'm telling you her medical, I know,
Okay.
some HIPAA law here. But anyway, she sneezes a lot.
Okay.
So for 25 years, she sneezed at least 4 to 5 times a day on the low side. Okay. And with all the racism that's going on right now around this being a bug that was, a virus, that's a China virus, and Maggie's Chinese ethnicity, but from the Philippines. I worry about people how they treat her. So we were actually supposed to go to New York the week before shelter in place took place in San Francisco, but we made a decision not to go, just of our own accord, because we just saw that things were going in a bad direction. And but I was so worried about her being on a plane and she getting a few sneezes, because the plane is somewhere she sneezes a lot. And I thought, God, they're going to clear the whole place out to give you enough space. People are going to be sitting 6 feet away from us. But we didn't end up going. So, so I worry that, that racism will trickle into our lives in a more overt way.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I was talking to members of LGBT communities in Asia, and some of them told me that they were quite shocked to know that Asians in the United States were being targeted for hate speech, even some racist violence. Are you afraid for yourself? You're concerned about Maggie because she's of Chinese descent. Are you concerned for yourself because you're Asian?
Yeah. So I feel like there's been times I've been concerned about myself in other issues, in other times of, certain incidents happening, like 9/11, or, I'll go even further back to I guess it was 79 hostage crisis. I had
This was the
personal things happen.
Iranian. This was
Yeah.
the Iranian hostage crisis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had things happen to me
Mm.
personally where
Mm.
people would yell, like in road rage, because I'm a really bad pedestrian. I cross when I want to,
Mm.
and I bemoan all those pedestrians who do that too.
Mm.
But I was crossed in front of somebody's car, and there's a bunch of white boys in a car, and it was in a university town, and they yelled out of the car, "Hey, go back to Iran. What are you doing on our streets?"
Mm.
Things like that. So I've had that happen. I've had someone walk into a restaurant and tell me to go back to Iran.
Mm.
Like, I was in a restaurant in a mall.
Mm.
This person walked into the restaurant, said that to me, and walked out.
Mm.
Like, it was just, like, I didn't even know what to do at that point. I was pretty young. I was probably in my early 20s at the time.
Right.
So I think, I've had those things happen to me. I've been, like, around 9/11, very fearful around, what could happen. But in
The backlash. You're fearful of the backlash.
I'm fearful of backlash. So if
Mm.
I have a personal experience of it,
Mm.
I think that makes me even more fearful for her.
Right.
And, and seeing that. And just to tell you that in San Francisco,
Mm.
the backlash on Chinese started way before shelter in place.
Mm.
Like,
Oh,
as soon as he called it a China virus,
Mm.
all the restaurants saw a 40% decline in their business. So I think you see that people pretty quickly made this crazy leap, right? To not go to Chinese restaurants, and not Chinatown became, like, really totally, like, not like a ghost town, but much less people in it.
Mm.
But so I think for me, because of my own experiences, I worry about her, as I worry about all my friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think, it would be, I think people in Asia would find it ridiculous, because it is ridiculous.
Mm.
But
And it's
racism
ridiculous
is
because,
ridiculous.
yeah, because people are making connections between Wuhan, China, and San Francisco. And San Francisco is so ethnically, racially diverse, and there's so many people of different Asian heritages living there. So it does. Who do you think are perpetrating these racist actions? Are they
Well, I think it's
tourists or?
coming from the top.
Mhm.
I think we have we have a racist president, and I think I can say that unequivocally.
Mhm.
And the kinds of comments he makes
Mhm.
just feeds into the basest instincts of people.
Mhm.
And he feeds that he feeds that monster,
Yeah.
and comes out quite easily.
Yeah.
And so, I think coming from exactly that. And there's not enough counterpunching.
Yeah.
Who stood up and said that what he's saying is ridiculous? I didn't hear any other politician stand up and say that what he did was ridiculous.
Mm.
He gets away with it.
Yeah.
And so,
Mm.
I don't get it, but that's what I think it is.
Let's talk about the social distancing, which actually is physical distancing.
Yeah.
You've referenced a number of times to how you miss going out for coffee and how you like being around people and doing things. But a lot of people have taken to social media to stay connected with people, and you're very much on social media. Is that meeting your needs for staying connected to people? You said that, who was it? I think it was Fauci, Dr. Fauci, who said the shaking hands culture of the US should stop, or something like that.
So someone asked him if he thinks it's going to go away,
Can
and
I
he says,
interrupt you? Sorry. Can I interrupt you for 1 second? Something
Sure.
is rubbing against your microphone, I think, of your your camera or your computer or your, because I can hear
I
the
actually have
noise.
a headset on.
No,
I have a headset.
it's good. It's good now. Yeah,
Okay,
because there
I'm
was the
holding.
rubbing.
It's rubbing against my shirt.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so I will hold it for you.
okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Um, so I think what happened was somebody asked him, "Do you think that this was going to change the culture of shaking hands?" And he said, "I sure hope so."
In the U.S.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
I really don't give a shit about shaking hands. So, but I am a very tactile person. So I think that for me, when I'm with people I care about, I want to give them a hug, you know, or even a kiss sometimes.
uh-huh,
So for me, that's not unusual.
mm,
And it would be a sad day for me if
mm,
that culture goes away. I
mm,
love the French culture and the Spanish culture of, embracing
mm,
Italian culture. I love that. And so in that way, I'm not very Indian,
mm, mm. Yeah.
So I, it's definitely not there for me. So I feel like um, it's people, to me, social media is not a replacement for um, meeting somebody in person. It is just not. It's a placeholder right now for me.
Mm, mm.
But it doesn't it doesn't hit me in all the places that if I was meeting somebody,
Right,
you know.
right.
So,
Um, are you afraid of getting the virus, and how are you coping with that fear? I mean, you kind of hinted at that at the beginning. So what do you do? Like, what are your fears? Like, what do you do?
so you didn't, when you introduced me and you started saying all those nice things about me, you didn't say that I'm a hypochondriac. So I'm a hypochondriac.
I did not know that. Okay.
Oh yeah, I go to the doctor for every little thing.
Okay.
Okay, and so yes, I worry about getting it, and um, Maggie and I've talked about it. We've talked about it. We're
What did
very, very
what
fortunate.
did you talk about?
We talked about what would happen if one of us got it,
Uh-huh.
right?
Okay.
And we're not like saying we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to think about it till it happens.
Right.
So, we're very, very fortunate. Like fortunate than so many people that in San Francisco we have a house that has 2 floors, and so we will separate on the floors, and I'll be like Chris Cuomo in the basement. I'll
Okay.
be downstairs, she'll be upstairs,
Yeah.
and we'd have to do food delivery,
Mhm.
where she won't be able to come down, and so
So
we just, I wouldn't have a kitchen.
these are all preemptive steps, things you're thinking about
Yes,
how you will
yes,
cope if you get
yes.
infected.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but if you ask me, I'm a worrywart about all my friends, and I worry about my family, and I worry about my own health. So, because
Okay.
I want to be around to take care of everybody.
Right.
See, that's the basic thing in me, is I want to be a caregiver. So
Yeah.
I want to be around. So I'm trying to, um, so yes, I'm afraid. I
So
have a
when you
fear
wake
of
up
it.
every morning, when you start your day, what do you do? Do you like do a check to
You want
see
to
if you
hear about my routine?
have?
I wake up and the first thing I do is I take a sniff. Can I breathe? Can I smell? And then I look to see if my throat is dry.
Okay.
And if it's, and then I sort of try to check if I'm feeling okay. Because when you're sick, you're sick.
Yes.
I mean, especially when I get a cold or something, I know I'm getting a cold. So I'm like, oh, does my throat feel okay? And if everything feels okay, then I'm good for now. And then I'm ready to go for my bike ride.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm not sure why that worry is that it's going to make me stop biking,
Yeah.
or if it's going to, can you hear that?
No. Oh, yes, I do.
Hang on a second. I can't believe this just happened. Sorry.
No
I
problem.
turned my phone off, but the ringer just went off.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's totally
Okay.
fine. Um,
Okay.
so when you bike, Do you wear mask? And
Yes, I
do
do.
you do, how do you
I
do,
don't leave the house without a mask.
how do you do social distancing on a bike?
Well, the fact is that there are not that many bikes on the road, so staying 6 feet away from somebody is not that hard.
Okay.
And I love to bike, but I'm a very slow biker, so
Okay.
I don't have a problem. I'm not racing anybody, so
Okay.
I'm on my own, and and if somebody passes too close to me, I'll tell them, "Excuse me, can you please give me my 6 feet?"
Wow.
So
Mm,
yeah, I'm pretty assertive about that. If
okay.
somebody's not doing it, I try to be nice about it. I find that when walking, people are less conscious of it. They're getting more and more conscious. So every day that I walk, there are more people keeping their distance. And definitely this week, there's way more people wearing masks.
Yes.
Everybody's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, here we had the fires so recently that we all have 95 masks in our house because for the fires.
Yeah.
So I think that there are more N95 masks being brought out now than even were during the fires.
I see.
Because I'm trying to figure out, where did everybody get the N95 masks? You can't buy them,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it's all from the fires.
I see. I
Everybody's got
see.
them left over from the fires.
Right.
So there's a lot more people wearing masks.
Mhm.
And, we go for walks. We're very conscious when we're passing somebody. So
Mhm.
you always try to make sure that that person is not being conscious. We walk on the street,
Yes, yes,
you know.
yes. Yeah.
So I try to be that conscious. So on a bicycle, the biggest issue can be when you come to a traffic light, because
Ah,
we
yes.
all bunch up.
Yes.
We usually bunch up in the front, and trying to get ahead of the cars. No one's doing that. We're all staying 6 feet apart.
I
So yeah, so it's not been that hard.
Mm.
And
You
I do wear a mask.
you do wear a mask. That's good.
And it's not easy to bike with a
Me
mask on.
too.
I'll just
Me
say
too.
that.
I was wearing a mask before people were wearing it here. And I think there is this huge reluctance to wear it here, whereas in Asia, even before the epidemic, I think probably because of the SARS virus and so on, it's part of the culture to wear a mask. In fact, an Asian LGBT activist was telling me, we're so used to wearing a mask that when we take selfies, we forget we have the mask on. It's so much a part of our face, you know.
Yeah.
um,
So yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to go to a point when you talked about the fires in California and the smoke and all of that, people wearing masks. It made me think about a comment that a friend of mine who lives near the Antarctica said. She said, since the factories in China have closed down, the carbon emissions have fallen dramatically. Global warming is reduced. We can see it, where we are out there in Antarctica. And which is a sad, ironic comment that it's a health pandemic. And then you have environmental changes for the positive because things are just shutting down, right? Um, what is it like in California, or like you have friends in India, right? What are they saying? Because Delhi is shut down. I mean, all the
Yep.
factories are shut down.
So I'm seeing this as, it's a horrible thing that's happening, but there's a silver lining.
Mm.
And the silver lining is actually telling us, here's a way to contain climate change, is shut the shit down, shut this
Mm.
stuff down.
Mm.
So people are seeing a blue sky in Delhi for the first time in I
Because
don't know how long,
why?
because the pollution is gone. Delhi apparently is always in smog. It's sort of kind of like LA in the way that I think there's nowhere for the stuff to go. So
Mm.
it sort of hovers, right? So there's a lot of smog in Delhi, and apparently there's blue skies in Delhi. A friend
Because
of
there's
mine
no
posted,
traffic. Because there's no traffic. Is that?
no, and they're being pretty strict in
Mm.
India. So I have
Mm.
a friend whose mother is a journalist, and
Mm.
she came back from Australia to Chennai, and she came home, and she was kind of going to self-quarantine anyway, but uh, somebody from the government showed up to her house and stuck a note on her door saying she is quarantined.
Mm.
so that the people outside know that she's quarantined. So they're not going to come close to her. So that's how strict they're being over there, you know.
Mm.
Maggie's brother, who lives in the Philippines, his building was put under lockdown. He
Mm.
could not leave his apartment.
Mm.
So no exercise, no shopping,
Mm.
nothing. If you needed groceries or you needed medicine, you slipped a sheet under your door, and somebody from the building management would go get you your groceries
Mm.
and your, you know, that's a certain different kind of luxury. But
Mm.
you know, I think there's lots of stories going around about people being able to breathe,
Mm.
and you know, there's this air quality index for
Mm.
San Francisco right now. It's in the teens, or like maybe early 20s.
Mm.
The index during the fires was almost as high as Mexico City.
Mm.
Or even, I think actually Mexico City was lower, because we were actually going to Mexico City when during the fires, and we realized that we were going into Mexico City with better air quality than San Francisco had at the time. Or
Mm.
even China, like I think Beijing had better air quality than
During the pandemic.
during the fires.
Yeah.
During the fires.
Mm.
But
Mm.
now,
Mm.
it's beautiful out there. We
Mm.
still have fog though, but
Mm.
fog is not climate change.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but a friend of mine posted a picture. You're speaking about your friend in Antarctica. Posted a picture on on, I think, on his Facebook, and he showed a beach that usually has a ton of people on it,
Mm.
just teeming with turtles. No people, just turtles. So you feel like, you know, the turtles were reclaiming their beach. So, you know, so there's some good stories like that.
I
And
know.
yeah, so I think, you know, what we can see is climate change is reversible.
Yeah.
We just have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting some hints, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and how we do that is different. I say just shut everything down for a month
Yeah.
everywhere and get the air clean, give
Uh,
things time to breathe, you
yeah.
know. But as long as you knew when that would end, I think what's hard about this is if everybody knew there was a shutdown for a month,
Yeah.
that's fine. We don't know when this is going to end.
Yeah.
We
And I
don't
think
know if it's going to be
that's
through the
that's what people
summer.
are saying. Yes, I talk
Yeah.
to people in China, I talk to people in, you know, in Sri Lanka and Myanmar, and the people in China were saying, um, you know, the way that we coped with it was because, like for instance, this person in Guangzhou said, we got SARS very, very badly, and we knew that it would be over.
Oh, yeah.
So the way that we are coping with COVID-19 is to know that it'll be over, it's temporary. But the fact is, temporary may be a year and a half or a year or 9 months, you know. So I'd like to wrap up with one last question, which is, one of the things I know about you is that you are an extremely generous person. You have supported many projects. You're philanthropic. So have you been involved in any philanthropic efforts around COVID-19? Have you been involved in any artistic responses, like social media responses, of people coping with COVID-19? Like, for example, I got a chain mail from a friend who asked me to share poems, do a poem exchange for people coping with COVID-19. I got another link from a friend asking me to take a 30-minute break every Tuesday and Thursday to join an online somatic exercise session, or another link from a friend asking me to join this African dance and samba online class. You know, so people are doing all kinds of things, right? So,
I want to know which one you're going to do.
shh, okay.
I want the African dance, samba and African dance.
I think I'm more likely to do the poem thing.
I know. But I want to see the African dance and the samba.
Yes. So have you been involved in, or, you know, what have you liked so far? Some of these artistic responses. And then the other part of the question is the philanthropic efforts.
Yeah. So a couple of things, you know, I have family members who have are not, don't have any income this month. I shouldn't say members. I have a member, and I've been very concerned to make sure that that person is okay. So that's, to me, charity starts at home. If your family is not okay, you can't go find other families to give money to. So I felt like I had to make sure that, that person was okay. I'm on a couple of boards, and it's of the three boards, two of them are boards that were celebrating 40th anniversaries this year. It was a big year for us. So we've postponed one event we're in the process of deciding on, and the other event has been postponed indefinitely, because these are big gatherings. These are like, our big community events. So one of the things that so I've been part of, leadership in like nonprofit organizations, and I'm on the board of a LGBTQ community foundation, and we've done some things there that have, we've tried to respond very quickly and we've put an emergency fund together for LGBTIQ organizations who are suffering financially through this. We're also going to, we're also trying to collect enough information so if people know if they're eligible for getting some of that money that's floating out there, the government money that's floating out there. So, so I've done all those things. Personally, what I've thought of is right now is all the organizations that I already support are going to need, I'm one of those procrastinators. So December 31st is when I'm doing all my giving. Unless somebody asks me for it right now, I wait till very late to do it. So unless there's an urgent need. So I have made the decision to do all my giving while this is in place so that we can, so at least whatever I'm giving, they can count on it right now, not in December when who knows who's going to be around. So so that was one decision that Maggie and I made. Fortunately or unfortunately, Maggie is also on a board that's going through a tough time right now. So we've had a fair amount of things that we are already wanting to be philanthropic and having the dollars to be philanthropic are, not always one and the same. So for me, I've always felt like I have to share what I have. But also there's a limit to it. So I want to make sure that the organizations that I've already supported who are suffering through this situation are going to get my dollars. And then we'll look at other things that we need to do. And, both our companies will, like Maggie's company, increase the matching amount that they were doing normally, so we'll use that money, and we always use the whole match that they give. So that's the way we're doing it. And then one of the things that I'm going to be doing, I've just started getting in touch with them, is nobody wants a volunteer who's 65 years old.
Who says that?
Volunteer for any COVID stuff if you're 65 years old.
That's true. That's true, because they're
high risk.
Yeah.
So what they will do is they want you to call elderly people that are on their own and shut in right now completely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try. I've applied to join an organization where I will call people, like I think I don't know if it's twice a week or something like that, to just check in on them, see how they're doing, what they need, and just have a conversation.
And what would you say to them to cheer them up?
I don't know, because I'm gonna riff. I'll just go with the flow, whatever we want to talk about. I'm totally comfortable not having a prepared speech and just going in and getting to know somebody, and just, and one of the things I try to do is to share enough of myself that people feel comfortable sharing who they are. So, let's see if that happens. I don't know if it will, but Yeah, I have so many friends on the front lines. I know friends who are in, in the fire department, ERs. I really worry about them, So one of my friends went to work
Mm.
and she's an ER doctor and didn't have a mask.
Mm.
They, they told her that they would only give out masks to the doctors if they were seeing a COVID-19 patient. She like really freaked, she's like, I need a mask, just a level 2 mask. They wouldn't give her any masks. So, so I called my dentist and said, hey, do you have any masks? So she said, she did. And she actually went to her office, gave me a box of masks to give to my friend. So she'd have some masks to take to work, right? So, but eventually what happened was that hospital had, somebody stole their shipment from the warehouse. So
Ah,
they didn't have the mask. They had a short, short,
shortage of this
shortage of masks for a short period.
period, I see.
So anyways, so then she was fine with the masks. And
Mm.
so now we didn't have any masks in our house.
Mm.
And so so she said, so anyway, so when Maggie said, I have to wear a mask every day and not my bandana, we called her and said, hey, do you have any of those extra masks left? So we took some masks back from her. And, so now I have masks because my friend didn't use them. So that's a long story about masks. You can cut it out if you need to.
Well, as usual, it's been great talking to you, Dipti. And thank you so much for talking to me, for talking to OutRight TV. And I'm hoping that you will be well, Maggie will be well, and that we will have many more years together shooting the breeze and fighting the fight. Um,
Yes.
Great. Um, and I wanted to also say that we will be back with more stories, my colleagues and I, about on this TV and podcast, OutRight TV podcast and video series on how LGBT people are affected by COVID-19 and stories around the world of LGBTQ people and allies. So please look out for that.
I will.
Thank you. This is Grace Poor. I'm the regional coordinator for Asia at OutRight Action International, and I've just been talking with Dipti Ghosh. And as I said, my friends, my colleagues and I at OutRight will be back with more stories on OutRight TV video and podcast series. Thank you.
Bye, Grace.
Bye.